Hi, everyone. Welcome back. The world saw a summer love story between Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed. But the synastry chart tells something else. It tells a story of fate that felt immediate and a partnership energy that just moved too fast. It was filled with shadow, idealization, and pressure building behind the scenes. The synastry between them, it doesn't unfold like a fairy tale. It unfolds like a timeline that was already narrowing. Now, her Diana's name asteroid conjuncts Dodi's sun natally. Before Diana ever walked into his life, she was already written into his destiny and his identity. That is not coincidence. That is fate. It means that Diana, the luminous icon, was already woven into his essence. He was destined to be pulled toward her frequency. Not just her as a person, but her myth. When someone's name asteroid is conjuncting your sun in your own chart, you don't just fall for them, you recognize them. It feels pre-written. It feels familiar, like something your soul was already expecting, and you didn't know it until they showed up. So when she appeared, he recognized her immediately. And this is where it turns eerie. Her Diana asteroid conjuncts his descendant. So she doesn't just walk into his life, she walks straight into his relationship axes because it's on the cusp of the house that rules committed relationships. She becomes the embodiment of the partner in his chart. But it doesn't stop there. Her Paris asteroid is there as well. The city where their story ends is conjuncting his doorway to union through her. She carries it in, right across the line that means commitment. And in this case, that doorway leads to Paris. Now, his Sun and Storm asteroid conjuncts her IC, and her Agamemnon and Typhoon conjuncts his Sun. And this is where the chart stops behaving like romance and starts behaving like a pressure system closing in. His Sun and Storm on her IC is the place where her inner child lives. It's unguarded. It's her inner sanctuary. And because it's in Aries, it doesn't unfold slowly. It ignites, fast, impulsive, and overwhelming. It feels thrilling and destabilizing at the same time for her. But then the energy shifts because now we have to move back to his sun. And this time, her Agamemnon and Typhoon are conjuncting his sun. Agamemnon is Trojan War energy, sudden breaks and reversals, sudden homicides, the kind of strike that changes the direction of a life in one decisive moment. Typhoon adds force, acceleration, and psychological overwhelm, and events that will spiral faster than anyone can contain. So the picture becomes clear. He brings the storm into her private world, and she becomes the event that alters his path because of Typhoon. So this is not delicate synastry. This is two timelines snapping together under pressure. Now, his Spencer asteroid, her last name, it conjuncts Diana's Venus in Taurus. Venus in Taurus is comfort, warmth, physical magnetism, the kind of attraction that feels grounding and sensual because she has the asteroid Adonis conjuncting her Venus. Adonis, that is allure and charisma, the kind of beauty that pulls attention without effort. And Taurus is already sensual, so this is not accidental. She was built to be desired naturally And that magnetism is written right into her love nature, which makes his union and Adonis conjuncting her Neptune even more charged. But I'm getting ahead of myself. She feels good to him, familiar, pleasing, and easy on the senses. Not just the princess or the myth, but her, the real woman, because her karma conjuncts his Venus in Pisces. And that's not light energy. It's his Venus is already built for longing, for fantasy, and for romantic surrender. And it doesn't love halfway. It dissolves. So when her karma is there, it adds gravity and weight. It doesn't feel like a new attraction. It feels like recognition, like something unfinished stepping back into the room. For him, she does not arrive as someone he is discovering. She arrives as someone his heart has already been waiting for. And there's softness in that. And that is validated by his Diana asteroid conjuncting his sun. But there's also inevitability and tragedy here because her Melpomene asteroid sits directly on his south node. And Melpomene is not easy. She is the muse of tragedy, the one who walks in with a story already written in sorrow. The south node is the past, the undertow, the place where old timelines resurface. So when her Melpomene is there, the connection does not feel new. It feels remembered. He feels her too deeply and too quickly for the amount of time that they actually have here together. It's heavy, it's immediate, but it's familiar in a way that makes no logical sense. It's like stepping into a memory he cannot fully access, but somehow recognizes. And that's the danger of South Node contacts. They feel ancient, like an echo that was already waiting in the room. His karma is conjuncting Diana's Pluto in her 8th house. And that is it's heavy and transformative. Karma meeting Pluto in the house of death and irreversible change, it doesn't arrive gently. It enters like a shadow already attached to the storyline. The 8th house is not about surface romance. It's about power shifts, endings, and the kind of turning points that you cannot walk back. You can't walk back once they begin. So when his karma is there, the connection feels weighted from the start. It's intense, powerful. It's not casual. It's not experimental. It can be very heavy and obsessive. So he steps into her life and touches the most intense part of her chart, the place where transformation costs something, where fate does not whisper, because with that contact, it becomes binding. So she becomes entangled in his karmic trajectory, and he becomes woven into the most life-altering territory of her story. Because his Melpomene and Photographica conjuncts her Lilith. And that creates a very specific kind of imprint. Like I said before, Melpomene brings tragedy, but with Photographica here, it brings the image, the lens, and the public gaze. And Lilith is her defiance. The part of her that refuses to be silenced or reshaped. He activates her shadow, and because Photographica is there, that shadow does not stay private. It becomes visible. They become watched and consumed. And Melpomene adds the tragic undertone that follows them like a soundtrack that no one can turn off. So their connection, it doesn't just stir passion. It stirs defiance. And there's exposure along with that and pressure that comes with this energy. So for him, she becomes the woman whose unfiltered truth is inseparable from both tragedy and the image the world cannot stop staring at. So it's intense, and it's intense and charged, and it becomes part of the atmosphere surrounding them. Now, his Jupiter conjuncts her Psyche, and Psyche is soul, the part of her that feels before she thinks. So with Jupiter there, it expands something spiritual, and around him, her soul awareness grows louder. Jupiter magnifies whatever it touches. When it meets her Psyche, it enlarges her inner world. He reaches her at the soul level. And here's another aspect that matters. His Jupiter also conjuncts her Photographica. So this isn't just about pictures. It's visibility, and it's how she is seen. And it's how a moment becomes permanent in public memory. And this is interesting because her Calypso conjuncts his moon. Calypso is the hidden room, the part of someone that stays sealed off from the public eye. When her Calypso meets his moon, something private opens. She brings him what she does not show the world. The secrets that the parts of her that lived behind palace walls, which makes what comes next even more interesting. Because maybe this is the secret. Her Mercury conjuncts his Queen asteroid. Mercury is her voice, her thoughts, the things that she says out loud when the cameras are gone. Queen is status, hierarchy, the crown, the power structure that she was born into and trapped inside of. So when her Mercury is there, she is speaking directly into his understanding of monarchy and authority. And maybe this is where the real story lived. What did she tell him? What did she say about the institution, about control and Elizabeth? That is the hidden layer that Calypso opens. Not scandal for headlines, but the private truth between the two of them. The kind that never makes it into the history books. Now, his union and Adonis conjuncts her Neptune. Union is the urge to merge. Adonis is charisma and beauty, the magnetic pull. And Neptune is her mist. It's the part of her that projects fantasy and romanticizes, and that can turn a person into something larger than life. So when his union and Adonis are there on her Neptune, she sees him through that glow. He becomes luminous in her perception. The connection feels dreamy, and this is attraction wrapped in haze and fog. But Neptune works both ways here, because his union and Adonis are plugged directly into her Neptune fog and mist and dreaminess. So she also becomes the dream in his eyes. Edges blur and reality softens. So they're not just seeing each other. They are seeing an ideal between the two of them. Now his groom conjuncts her descendant. Like I said, the descendant is the doorway to partnership, and groom is exactly what it sounds like. The partner, the man who carries marriage energy, whether it lasts or not. He stepped in carrying partnership energy. And he likely said it out loud to her because his Mercury is conjuncting her groom. Mercury is his voice. So when it conjuncts her groom, he is speaking into that archetype. He's talking about commitment, about the future, and what this could become between the two of them. And she doesn't just hear it. She feels it because his bride conjuncts her south node. And that is deja vu energy. Bride is the imprint of union and the archetype of the bride. It's the sense of bond that feels older than the present moment because of the south node. So bride being there, there's recognition. The recognition is immediate. And that would tie back to his Diana asteroid conjuncting his sun. So there's this quiet pull that makes someone feel like they've already been part of your story. Like you're not building something new. They were stepping back into something that's unfinished. And his Uranus, it's conjuncting her Apophis. And this is where it turns, because that is not stable ground. Uranus is the jolt, the shock, the moment everything tilts without warning. And Apophis is unraveling energy. It's the chaotic force that pulls at structures until they split. So when Uranus meets Apophis, the connection, it does not unfold gently. It disrupts and accelerates. It breaks the rhythm of what once felt steady. And so together, it creates a fracture point. It's the kind of crossing where timelines divide. So once they crossed paths, life did not return to its previous shape. Not for him, not for her, and not for the story that followed. So, I will be back soon with other synastry charts. I hope you enjoyed this interpretation. And if you want to see more charts like this, hit the subscribe button, and I will be back soon.